this is the first shipbuilding video that I have done in Starfield. This is the Rocinante, a ship based on the Rocinante from The Expanse. It is based on it. It's not exact. It's as close as I can get, really, at the moment, with the limitations that we have within Starfield for building. The Rocinante is, as anybody that's seen Expanse knows, it's armed to the teeth warship that has a very specific setup. The way it moves, the way it turns, the way the guns deploy. We can do something in Starfield that gives us a representation, but unfortunately we can't do the same thing. So this is as close as I can get at the moment. I'm not quite happy with this yet. A couple of things I want to change, but I like it the way it is now. So this is an endgame Class C ship that is just like the actual Rocinante, armed to the teeth. It is overkill for majority of conflicts you're going to go into. The cargo is 3,240. The shield's 1,600, which obviously is boosted if you have skills in shield. The hull is only 1,370, but that's enough, because it's matched with the manoeuvrability or the mobility of 76. That can go to 100. You can have it at 100 manoeuvrability if you remove. You have to kind of play about with the weapons and remove one of the cargo containers. You can get that up to 100. The engine isn't quite maxed out because of the way we have to set up the engines, and the grav drive isn't quite maxed out. But grav drive, I'm not sure what the benefit of having a maxed out grav drive is at the moment. Engines are obviously for speed. This is a top speed of 130, which is good. And again, like I say, it's for anything you need to do late game, anything. But if you want to make it 100 mobility, you take the guns down a little bit. You can see I've got the Class C missile launcher requiring Starship Design 4. I've got the Obliterator Alpha turrets, Starship Design 4, and then the auto gauze guns, the MKE 9A auto gauze guns requiring Starship Design 4. So, and that's the theme. Starship Design 4 is pretty much necessity, but there's loads of ways to get that relatively simply. Yeah, so I'll go into the teardown of it. Remember, all the halves within this are completely interchangeable. You don't need as many halves in it. You can replace them with other things, and obviously the cosmetics are up to you. I went with the Stroud Eklund because I just felt the actual shape of the halves was slightly better. I normally go for Demos, but for this one I went with this just to give it that little bit more authentic feel. So engines we have here, which are the SA430 engines and Supernova 220. Again, endgame, you just put on whatever you have. We have 4 of the SA430s and 1 Supernova. I wanted just 1 Supernova, but if we take these away, it takes your engine right down, and although that profile there is more authentic, we need a bigger version of this engine. We need a much bigger version of this engine to do what we want to do. Put the aim back on. Right, so at the bottom we have the Demos landing bay. Doesn't have to be Demos, it can be whatever you want. That's our start point. I go with the Nova Galactic wide landing gears here, front and back, because of the 4 in thrust and the 4 in hull. I had to stick on a couple of Nova Galactic ones on either side just to fulfill the requirements. Again, I felt these were the only ones that really looked alright. Once it takes off, you'll see that because these retract, it gives you that nice silhouette of the Rocinante. Right, before we go too far. 1, 2, 3 missile turrets. 1, 2, 3 alpha turrets. 1, and cheeky ones down here. 2, 3 Gauss guns. Without the weapon setup, you can see we have a Nova Galactic cowling at front. I'll just delete as we go, but then I'll undo all this. On top of a Viking CP220 cockpit. Not the one I wanted to use. I wanted to use a Deimos one, but again, Deimos one only has 2 crew stations. This has 4, so this one worked. Underneath that, we've got the Nova Galactic weapon mount. Really cool. 6 different weapon mounts within this. 4 on the outside, 2 on the inside. I used 2 on the inside to make it more authentic. Deimos wing E, rotated on either side. Take the top there. Deimos spine A4, Deimos spine B, Deimos spine E. Forget that's equipment plate for one of the obliterators, or yeah. Then the cowling aft, and the SG 1800 shield generator give us our top layer. Second layer, we have the Stroud engineering bay 3x1. We have a Galleon S204 cargo hold, like this one. And then we have our grav drive, which is the SGD 3300, and the Fusion DC403 reactor, which has a Supernova 220 attached to it. On the side of the engine, we had a HA3 tank on either side. That just I thought helped. There are other versions of it. That helped with aesthetics so much, because we all know from the Rocinante the kind of thin, fat engine kind of profile. That's really hard to make in Starfield. I'm hoping for some mods to help us out. Deimos wing E, Deimos wing E, Deimos wing D, Deimos wing D. Again, I'm not entirely sure those are going to stay, but those are there at the moment to break up or create the silhouette. Deimos wing E, single jammer, and then wing E. Nova Galactic and NG15 landing gear, cargo hold again, landing gear. The SA430s we talked about. We have a nose. This is really cool. I like this because it gives us equipment ports on top of it. But this is the Stroud nose cap D. It just, for something that adds only 8 mass, it gives you fantastic shaping of the ship. I like that. We have the Stroud control station. If you didn't know this, because I didn't know this for way too long, it's quite embarrassing. I just place down any half. This just decides. I don't worry about the actual what it does while I'm making the profile of the ship, while I'm building the ship structure. Because if you click on it, press space, and then use the arrow keys, you can change it to whatever you want, whatever variant you want. I did not know that. Companionway, just to create the ladder space. There's only one ladder in this whole ship. It's brilliant. You're basically in, up, cockpit. Great. Then this layer, we've got the Deimos wings A on either side, and then B on either side. Incredibly popular in ship design. The workshop, and then the all-in-one berth. Again, you don't have to use Stroud. You do not have to use those berths. I use the workshop for the benches. I use Stroud for the passenger slots, and this only comes in engineering bay and all-in-one. I went with the all-in-one just because I had another engineering bay up on top, and they gave me 2 passenger slots. Then at the back, a companionway 1.1. This is in here purely because I wanted a porthole somewhere, so I ended up with an aft porthole just to see the back of the ship. When I was in the ship, it was just a little bit too enclosed. I know that's not part of the actual design, and if you don't want to include that or include this, absolutely fine. The only reason for having this here is that reason. This could be a Demos bulkhead thing. Go there. Nova Galactic landing gear, love these. These come in different variants. The slim docker on the bottom, the landing bay wide, and the Skeg A. So if I undo this, I'm just going to do this super slow. You can slow down the video if you want to see how this is building up. Again, just remember the bits that I have put on, the aesthetic bits can all change, the functional bits can all change. If you want shielded cargo, the bits I've just put on there, the Stroud nose cap D and the nose cap below it, those can be removed, and shielded cargo pods can go on there, or they can go along the side of that hull if you want to take off the aesthetic stuff on it. Nearly all done. But the big thing about this ship is it's armed to the teeth. 3 of each, giving you max power output. These are 136 shield and hull damage. These are 111 shield and hull damage, and these are 37 and 11. But these just look good. I wish I could change these for more turret-based Rocinante style PDP type things. I wanted to use these because I thought they looked cool, but they just don't quite match. And then when we get to this point in the game, you really need to be using things that are going to be effective. And for me, that was the obliterator cannons at the bottom, obliterator turrets I used. I considered having them facing out the way, but I went with internal. So that's the ship. I hope you like it. I'll let you play about with it. Any changes you want to make, please do.